Before I place any trade, there's a couple of things I need to do beforehand, and I want you to know those, especially if you're new, so that way you can start trading on the right foot. The first thing that I'm thinking about before I even look at any stock is there any important news being announced today? Now, I know what you're thinking. Alex, you used to say that you don't look at any news. And I used to say that until you get slapped in the face hard enough, and then you're like, oh, I might need to start looking at some type of news. And that's something that I started to do recently, especially in 2022. What I do now is I always want to find out, is the Fed going to announce or have any important meetings today? Because if they do, the market usually acts a little different. People are a little bit more uncertain. The moves are different. So I need to adjust how I risk because of that. The next thing that I do is look at the big percent gainers and losers. This is something that's very important. It's the core of my trading that I have always done since the beginning, and it has never changed. I want to take this time to say thank you to our sponsor, Cobra Trading. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show. I want to see what's moving right now. And then when I find out what's moving right now, I want to find out why. Not because I care too much about the news. Like, I don't care about the news per se on this part of my process. I more so just want to know, is it earnings? Because if it's earnings, that could be a positive catalyst to help something if I'm looking at a bullish sign and maybe want to go long. Once I found out is there earnings or not, I then want to look at the big picture. I'm going to look at the monthly, the weekly, the daily chart, because I want to get a sense of where has the stock been, where is it going, and what is the overall direction and sentiment. How are people feeling? The big picture is going to give me that feeling of direction. So that way, if the big picture aligns with the next step, is the intraday picture. Because I'm looking at all the intraday timeframes, the 30-minute, the 15, the 10, the 5, the 1, and I want to find out what is the direction showing me in the smaller time frame. If those two start to align, I'm feeling confident. Once I notice that the time frames are aligning, I'm going to hone in a little more and start to look to my left. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at prior levels of support and resistance. And I made tons of videos about support and resistance showing you my screen, so make sure to go watch those because it's very important. Prior levels tend to be respected and some don't. If you're not sure which ones you should look at and not, go watch those old videos. Now that I have an idea what the big picture is, the intraday picture, the direction, the levels, I'm looking for where is the best entry. And I'm doing all of this all pre-market, before the market open. Once I determine where is the best entry, I need to figure out and ask myself this question. It's super important. Where am I wrong? The reason this question is important because this is going to help me develop my plan. I need to know, when am I going to get out? When am I completely wrong that this is no longer a bullish trade and maybe now it's a bearish trade, or vice versa. I'm then going to look at profit areas. Where are the areas where I want to take profit? And the reason I'm doing this all first is because then the next thing is I want to find out, is that even worth a trade? Is the risk reward there? If I get the best entry, is there enough reward to justify this trade? Because it could be a great setup, but the risk reward be poor, I'm probably not going to take it. Now, what I've done already is pretty much develop a plan. I know where my entry is. I know where my risk level is. I know where my profit target is. The next part is sticking to the plan. But there's something that I want you to think about. Time of day. It's something that I don't really talk about a lot, but it is very important to my trading. I want to be trading the most volatile time of the day because that's when the moves happen. So that's in the first hour, hour and a half of the day. If a setup sets up in the middle of the day, I may not take that. In fact, I know there's a high odds I'm gonna ignore it because it usually doesn't work, even if it's a great setup. If it's near the end of the day, sometimes the odds get skewed against me and they're not as strong. And so that time of day will help me think about how much do I really want to allocate to this trade. Now here's something else. While I'm developing my plan, looking at time of day, looking at everything we just talked about, I'm asking myself the question, does this trade need wiggle room? Because if it needs any type of room, every trade is different, every stock is different. This is why I've said so many times as a new trader, you might just want to pick a handful of stocks and just watch them every day to get familiar with how they react to news, to levels, and so forth. Because every stock reacts different. Some respect it completely and some don't give two craps about it, and you need to give it wiggle room. If you trade Tesla, you'll know that this stock has a lot of range. And so you might need to give it a little bit more room than normal. So that's something I'm asking myself before, this is all before the market opens. I want to have my plan ahead of time. I think if you start to think this way and use some of the things that maybe stood out to you, like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. I think you're an idiot, Alex, for thinking this way. That's fine. Take what you think is going to work for you and implement it and try it. If you're completely new, I suggest you at least make this into a checklist, rewind, press pause, and write everything down and paper trade and just kind of look at this as a guide to help you move forward and at least have a framework of how to progress.